Right, essentially now the boat's ready to take to the beach, turn on its side, go and get changed, put the foils in, go sailing. But before we get to that stage, I just want to go through some basic setup and tuning ideas, which we'll do now. Right, so we've got the Cunningham on. So let's let the Cunningham off and the Vang off all the way. It's a sort of a downwind kind of setting. So that's about where the Cunningham would be. Now, the Vang might be harder than that, but it will be harder than that in real life. But just to show you how round the entry of the sail is. If you look up at the sail, look at the entry angle, how blunt it is. This is really, really good to get on the foils early. And good for downwinds, especially in light winds. It means you can really, you really get some depth in the sail without getting a stall. And this is thanks to the new batten spec. Now, we talked earlier about the cam bulkhead and how that will, in theory, stop the rotation. But if you just look up at this sail, you can see how deep the entry is. And that's in spite of that, the cam bulkheads. And that, in effect, all the roundness is coming from the batten spec rather than the cam rotating. The cam's now fixed on its axis. So you can see it's very, very deep, and you'll have no problem finding power to get on the foils or go downwind in that setup. I'm just going to pull the boat over and show you the tension in the sleeve. You can see here with the Cunningham off and the kicker off, the sleeve actually looks quite loose. And this is simple physics because the battens are now very bent in the front. It shortens this distance because there's curvature in here, and it's shortening this distance down, and it's making the sleeve appear slack. Well, it's not appearing slack, it is slack. We need a certain slackness, otherwise the cams won't tack. And the right amount really comes from trial and error. But how much can you pinch in front is the question. And you know, about 1 centimetre at this stage, when you've got no real Cunningham on, that might be a bit much. That might be a little bit, I could put another spacer in there. Inside here, those familiar with Moths will know that inside here we have we've got the cam, and it sits on, you can just see them there. It's got spacers in to get this distance perfect. And this could probably do with another spacer in it. It's a little bit on the slack side. That one's about right. So you need about 1 centimetre really at this stage of slackness. If you have it tight at this point, the cams will just jam up and they won't tack once you've got the Cunningham on. And I'll show you now what happens when we pull kicker and Cunningham on. I will remember to put this pin in, this split ring, which I said earlier I'd forget and nearly did. Okay. Right, so I'm going to pull the kicker and Cunningham on now. And we can see the sleeve will tighten and the sail will flatten. This Cunningham is 16 to 1, 16 to 1, I'll get it right. I mean, 2 years ago we were on 12 to 1, a year before that we were on 8 to 1. You know, back in the day we were on 6 to 1, and we're just finding the sails are getting deeper and deeper, so we need more and more Cunningham. So we're now, this is 18 to 1, it's more than enough. I mean, once you get the kicker on, kicker's 32. You can see the sail now flattening off. Now the Cunningham's a lot easier to pull on again. Now we've got to the point where the sail is absolutely flat. The foot's gone tight, it's pulling hard against the out haul. The top's gone loose. So we've gone from our very light wind, very round in the front setting. Now the sleeve's like a drum now. We've stretched it down, straightened the batten up inside because we've pulled it, and now it's very tight. Come on the leeward side, look how shallow the entry angle is now. It's much sharper. The top's gone loose, there's no entry angle at all up there. It's almost head to wind. And in this, because we've got so much downhole and no wind, the batten reverses. It doesn't do that in real life, but it does it on the shore. It's just a stretched thing because there's so much load here compared to here. It just pulls it round the wrong way. But as I say, it doesn't do that in real life. So there we go. We've gone from in one pull of the Cunningham and Kicker, or several pulls of the Cunningham and Kicker, we've gone from a very full, very deep, full-fronted sail to a very flat sail indeed. We could go flat. I could pull the Cunningham on more. You can see the bands here. We can go down a little more. Normally I'm probably down here in very strong winds at 7. So we're not quite there, fully down yet. So there we go. That's the basic setup. You'd use that setup upwind in anything over sort of 15, 18 knots. And the setup we started with is you let the Kicker and Cunningham off. The sail starts to deepen up. The entry angle increases. You can see it, the rotation now coming back in on the mast here and in the front of the sail. And then we're back to where we started, which is a very full-fronted sail. Okay, just one more detail. The spreader, the prodder, obviously is it's not fixed on the mast. It pivots around the pin on the mast. So I'm using aluminium adjusters here with a plastic end fitting you can screw tight against the shroud to lock it. People use different systems, but the basically is you want to get this thing level, so it can't do this as you're sailing along and move up and down, side to side, because you lose mast support. And the same on the front. I've got mine fairly level to the hull. You see them often, people going around with them up in the air like this. I try to keep mine fairly level to the waterline as much as I can. So yeah, just make sure they're locked off and this thing can't move around. It stops keeps the mast bend more consistent. I mentioned earlier I've got an adjustable forestay. I've got a mark in the boat which gives me the position of my normal mast rake. People measure mast rake in different ways, but I think for me, I just want my own method so I know where my mast rake is. So all I do is take a line or a tape measure to the hounds, down to here, and then just swing it forward and put a mark on the forestay. I'm going to measure from that bolt up to that mark, and that tells me my relative mast rate relative to what I use normally. I'm using about 8 degrees if you draw a straight line through the hounds when you're sailing along from the mast step through the hounds, and you measure the angle to the shear line of the boat. Shear line, if you follow the gunnel line as it comes through the boat, if you draw a line on a photograph through there and you draw a line from the hounds down striking through that line, it's about 8 degrees. We know this centreboard is set at 5 degrees to that shear line, water line in fact, 5 degrees, sorry. So you've got a datum there if you want to use that, and some people put a spirit level on here. The only issue I have with that is obviously as you use more or less Kicker, it will vary it slightly, but it's up to you really if you have a method that you're happy with, and then you just have a datum. Once you've set your own datum, you can rake the mast fore and aft and against that datum and know exactly where you are. So that's fore and aft mast rake. I do find it doesn't make that much difference. You know, even when I get extreme, I let loads of mast rake in. I don't find them going a lot quicker. I find if we're going to get back to my particular mark, that generally seems in all conditions to be about right. In light winds, downwind, it seems to like to be a little bit more upright, and in strong winds, a little bit more raked, but it's very marginal compared to other boats. This is mainly because I think we're so dynamic and we sail with a boat canted over on top of us. The sail's already very depowered in that respect. We're already using effectively too much rake through cant. So let's talk about cant now we're on it.